Hello, and welcome to my Raspberry Pi project. The purpose of this project was to primarily store and transfer files just because it's very inconvenient to have to go through Google Drive or some other file storage software. My project relates to the memory unit because whenever the server needs to manage a file, the Pi loads it from the flash drives into the RAM into the RAM so it can properly transport the data. I also needed to understand how the file system interacted with the OS itself to manage files and how to use commands to move and manipulate those files. I also used a USB flash drive as a peripheral. The peripheral had to properly communicate with the Pi to send data through the server. For networking, I had to figure out how to properly set up the server itself so that I could send data between those devices. For programming, I had to send commands to the Pi so that it would properly do what I wanted it to do. I started by using fdisk to format each of my flash drives. I am using two 32 gigabyte flash drives and a Raspberry Pi 4B. I then uh, I then made the RAID array using sudo mkfs.xt4 slash dev slash md127. I then mounted the flash drives to the RAID array using sudo mount slash dev slash md127 slash mount slash RAID 0. After that, I used echo to make sure the RAID array would mount on every boot, and then I updated Madam so that it would mount on startup. After that, I installed Apache and PHP and used PHP to create a file calling it index.php. After that, I installed MariaDB and PHP MySQL. After that, I just set up MySQL, uh, answering no for Unix socket authentication. I changed the password, and I removed anonymous users. I disallowed root login remotely. I removed test database, and I reloaded privilege tables. After that, I downloaded and extracted the WordPress software. Then I moved WordPress to the slash var slash www slash html directory, deleted the initial download, and updated the ownership of the directory for Apache users. Then I used sudo mysql minus uroot minus p to create the WordPress database. Once I entered the initial command, I used the create database WordPress command and the grant all privileges command. After that, I did flush privileges. Then I rebooted the Raspberry Pi and entered localhost into my web browser address bar to pull up the website. There wasn't a lot of troubleshooting I had to do outside of the occasional mistyped command. But initially, I needed to switch to wireless keyboard and mouse because it took up a USB slot that I would use for the flash drives. Then, when formatting my flash drives, I needed to unmount them because the disk was using them. Then, when assigning a folder to my RAID array, I used the wrong file name. Wasn't super hard to fix. Instead of using the name MD0, I used MD127. In the future, I first and foremost, I will upgrade storage capacity because it currently runs with around 62-ish gigabytes of space, but I would prefer to have more. The cheaper fix would be uh, flash drives with higher capacity, or if I wanted to spend extra money, I could get external hard drives around 1 terabyte. Then I would get a mouse and keyboard. I would prefer to find a mouse and keyboard that used USB 2.0 so that I can use USB 3.0 for the flash drives or the hard drives. And finally, I would get a case with a fan because I don't want to cut myself on the fiberglass edge of the Pi, and I would like to know that the Pi is maintaining a steady temperature while it's running the server.